Opportunity to go to Rutgers Saturday night for a primetime game, as John said. So we're excited to go away. You got to go back and forth, home and away. So we played 4 straight home games. So looking forward to going with the opportunity to go 6-0. I think it'll be a good football game. They have an outstanding special teams group. They've got the guy that has run back 3 touchdowns in Grant, number 1. I think their quarterback is playing well, Laviano. They really have 3 tailbacks. Number 8, Hicks, and Martin, number 7, have been extremely productive. They'll get James back a little bit. Big wide receiver, and I think it's Agusi. And then defensively, they're going to fly around and hit people. So I'm going to take some questions.
Mark, is this a good time in the season for this team to get back on the road, maybe get away from home and just kind of rally together?
Well, you're going to play away games. That's part of college football. So I think that change is always a little bit good. If you've been playing away for a while, it's good to come home. If it's the opposite way, it's also good to go away, I think. And so it changes the landscape a little bit, and I think change is good. Keeps you fresh, keeps you moving in the right direction.
Mark, obviously, with the mash unit that the offensive line became in the second half, isn't it fair to say that had a significant impact on how the game's called from an offensive play calling? They rolled Connor out more because you couldn't put him back there necessarily in a 5-step drop.
Well, I think that we managed the game with the situation that was dictated to us in the game, and I do think it changed play calling. Plus, the score at that point in time sort of mandated, in the weather and those type of things as well. It was raining pretty good, windy, and those type of things. So it cleared a little bit in the fourth quarter, but the game had changed by the time the fourth quarter rolled around as well. So I think all those things had something to do with that. John asked me, okay, give me your offensive line depth, and there's just so many different ways we can go with that. So I just said list it like this. But that's a positive as well, because we have probably 3 guys that can play multiple positions across the offensive line, and they have experience doing it. So we'll see how this week shapes out in terms of who's playing the best and who should play what position, and then we'll make that decision probably Friday night and announce it Saturday at game time.
Speaking of the offensive line, Mark, I'm wondering the last time in your career you had a center either playing for you at left tackle or going against that at this level of football.
Yeah, I've never had our center go out to play left tackle.
Or even someone that size.
Yeah, or someone that size. But Jack is an exceptional player. He's an extremely athletic, powerful guy with a very high level of knowledge and experience relative to the offensive line play. So, if you watch him play in the game, there was no issue. So he can go out there and play it. I don't think that's a question, because he is so quick and athletic, and he does have long arms. But what will be his strength if he's playing left tackle may be different from what's Cody Keeler's or Jack Conklin's strength as a player. So we'll see.
Coach, you have 3 true freshmen in the second string of the secondary. Does that speak?
You sound nervous.
No. Do you have? Does that speak to the injuries that this team has sustained, or have they just performed like that in practice?
Well, Josh Butler has played very well. We've not taken the red shirt off of him yet, but he's probably right there trying to hold it. We'll see what happens. But he's played very well in practice, and I think he's a good player. We've played Kari Willis on special teams, and then he also played the entire second half, I think, of the Central Michigan game at our nickel back. And he's a very good tackler, good ball skills. He's a quick, explosive type guy. And then Grayson Miller's another guy that played this past week, but he's been playing in special teams probably for 3 weeks. So both of those guys have been working at the number 2 position. Really, we're number 3 and 5, I guess, or I guess 4 and 5. The 4th safety, the 5th safety, probably since the start of the season. So they're good players, very good players, good ball skills. They can run. They're explosive. They tackle well. So what they don't have is game experience, but the only way you get that is by playing. So, no, I'm not nervous at all. I mean, I think we really actually have 6 safeties still. You know, we lose RJ and we lose leadership, and he's a very good player, but and he's had a lot of big plays for us, but I still think we have 6 safeties that can play and be functional. And I always look at players, can they be functional? Can you put a guy in there, can he function? Doesn't mean he's going to succeed all the time, but does he know the defense? Can he function and make plays for you and fit in the scheme and the puzzle? And I think all 6 of those guys can really. That would include Matt Morrissey and Jalen Watts-Jackson, who are playing a lot on special teams as well.
Mark, one of your players over here said the other day, I think it was Darian Harris, that we don't have backups at Michigan State. We're all expected to be ready to start. And you haven't had a lot of injuries in your last 2 magical seasons like this. Is this part of the test of a mettle of a team and something that you're always talking about, overcoming adversity?
Yeah, a little bit, but I also think the more guys you play, the stronger you get as a football team. And you see that across the country. You see guys playing, and that makes you more experienced. That gives you more diversity in terms of the players that you can play, more depth. And, you know, it's just inevitable. At some point in time, Daquez Denard got a start because Chris L. Rucker went down. And on it goes. And that's how you get your feet wet. You become more productive. You get used to playing in a big time environment. And they've all been recruited here with the idea that they have the ability to play at this level. And so that's what we do. We put them in there and try not to put them in there before they're ready, but sometimes you're putting them in there a little bit early, but you also have a certain amount of confidence in those guys. Now, is something to say, hey, they were number 2. They're not as good as your All-American guy, okay, but they can get there, i.e. Dennis Finley was playing very well. I think he'll be an outstanding player for us. But and that was his first time playing, really. So it's good. Sometimes the problems create opportunities, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And those opportunities pay forward.
Do you get the feeling about this team, maybe not frustration, but in a sense that they feel that they're due for kind of a decisive victory, or are they more along the same?
The bottom line is you win. The bottom line is you need to win. I don't feel frustration. I felt there was no frustration in that locker room after the game. Guys were excited to play. You know, it's tough to win games. It is tough to win. I don't care who you play. And people spend 80-plus hours as coaches every week to develop a plan with what they have. Players spend 20 hours on mandated, I guess, and then they spend countless hours away from it by themselves trying to figure out how to do things to the best of their ability. So everybody's got a plan coming in. You know, everybody's going to be able to recruit a certain level of player. There's parity in college football. All you have to do is look around. And so when we win, that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. There's no frustration. Their frustration may come when a play happens in a game that you're not successful at, or a series. But at the end of the deal, if you win, I don't care how you get there. We've played well before and not won. So bottom line is, do you win?
Mark, on the Rutgers staff, there's one guy, Mitch Browning, who was at Kansas with you in the early 90s, same defensive staff. Any other connections there, and what's your relationship with him?
Yeah, Mitch is a friend of mine. Mitch was a graduate assistant at Ohio State previous to my being there. He's coached the Mid-American Conference at Kent State. He was at Kansas for a long time. We were on defensive staff together. He was the linebacker coach. I was the secondary coach. He went to Minnesota, where he was on the staff there with Mark Snyder. Dave Warner and Tim Allen were there with him. We've all known Mitch. He's an excellent coach. And, he'll have his guys ready to go. Offensive line guy.
Mark, obviously you have Shalik, other guys from Jersey, other guys coming in. How important is that area, and what does it do for you to actually play there, have a game there?
Well, I think it gives us exposure back east. I think that's the intent of having Rutgers and Maryland in the Big Ten, was to give everybody exposure. We got a lot of alumni on the East Coast. I think that our Michigan State was very well represented last year at the Maryland game, and I'm sure that that'll be the case this weekend as well. And then, New Jersey's a very active recruiting area. They've got good high school football in that state, and we're going to go over there and we're going to recruit. And always draw somebody out of there, and we've gotten great players out of there. Mike Tressel / Mark Snyder. We've got two guys, one in North, one in South.
You might not know until Friday night how that offensive line is going to shake out. How do you prepare for a whole week, getting those guys ready in different spots? Does that change your practice week, I guess?
Well, Coach Staten does an outstanding job, and he's always taught, the whole part whole theory. So all those guys are in the same meeting room. They're all need to know what the other guy's doing. Many of the techniques are similar to some extent. Guys have had opportunities. I mean, Donovan Clark, he's played right tackle, right guard. He's played left tackle in the past. So we've got quite a bit of diversity, I guess, and age and experience with our senior group. So I think that gives us an advantage. And then what we'll do is we'll look and say what's the best way to go about it based on the other guys and fit the pieces around that puzzle. Is it better to have David Beadle at guard, or is it better to have so-and-so at guard? How does Benny McGowan figure in this? Brandon Clemens played last week, too. He's a fifth-year senior. So we've got quite a different number of ways that we can go with this. And, and then there's, possible other guys we plan as well.
I wanted to ask you about the New Jersey connection, too, with Shalik especially. I know you've talked about him dozens of times and what he's meant to this team, but is there anything he's done coming back this last year that's surprised you at things he's added to the team that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I've said it before. I think he's a very unselfish player, unselfish person. Every time he's had an opportunity to speak to media, he talks about the other players, he talks about the coaches, and he sort of shuns, although he's a big presence, he sort of shuns the media, I think, a little bit other than interviewing people. But, I think that's a value, him being here, that's a value, and then him being here, passing on the NFL is also a value. It shows that, hey, the degree is very important to people. Wants his degree, will have it at the end of this semester. And you can get both dreams at the same time. You can get your degree, you can go to the NFL, and obviously he's a great football player, so he means so much to us on the field as well.
Mark, you've just spoken to how you can fill in with people, perhaps not ideally, but people that you can trust in a functional role with an injury. Is not that part of the perspective, along with the fact that you are 5-0, even if the point differential hasn't been ideal in everybody's eyes? Is that not, in fact, part of the perspective that must be maintained, that if games don't go as you plan on having them go this season, yet that the bar has been raised, that a program here is sustaining, that it's enduring?
Yeah, I think you're right. The bottom line is every time you line up to play, you're trying to win that particular play or situation. But at the end of the game, you're trying to say, okay, who won the game? And that's how you're ultimately measured. There's been a lot of football games that have been close games here in the past. Quite honestly, I remember 2013 where there was a lot of doubt created early in the season. And that doubt changed as the season went forward. But there was a lot of doubt at this point in time at that season. Nobody predicted that we'd be 13-1. The same could be said for last year. So, you just play the games. You line them up and play them. You can't promise people that you're going to win. You can't promise people that you're going to lose or cover the spread. What you can do is promise people that you're going to play the very best you can. You're going to prepare. You're going to play with effort and toughness. And that is so important, that you have energy and effort and toughness to every football game. Because usually things work out. We have good players, and we should be right there. And, so the challenge is to go 6-0 before you can do anything beyond that. That's the challenge. And hopefully our players understand that. We talk a lot about that, but there's going to be adversity. There's no smooth road ahead for anybody. There's always adversity. There's always an injury. There's always something that doesn't go right. There's always a young player playing that something doesn't go right for, and you have to pick up the pieces. And some things are things that you can't, that you have no ability to change. Other things you can change. So we concentrate on the things we can change and control, which is not that many sometimes. But I know that all of our players are working hard, and I believe in our players. We dropped a punt. Okay? So the challenge is go back in there and punt again, and he did, and he punted well. So it's no different than missing a tackle. It's the game is played between the lines, and it's extremely difficult to play this game at this level. So our that's all. We just keep going. I know that there's times of frustration for everybody, but we just keep going.
Mark, there's maybe some teams in some different years you have to worry yourself more about looking ahead to big games that are a week ahead. Is it just the makeup of this team or this couple classes where that's not a big worry for you and your staff when you've got big rivalry games still coming up?
Well, you've always got games coming, that you look forward to. There are always those opportunities, but I think what we've tried to do is concentrate and focus on the present. I probably have said that a lot this year. We need to focus on the present. And I think our guys have done a good job with that. And if you want to reach your goals, then you have to go the hard way. And the hard way is you have to play each play in every game. And there are no givens. That's all I can say. There are no givens in this game. Just like in life, there are no givens.
Mark, kind of strange they haven't even left the state yet. Here we're in week 6, but I believe, Louis, you haven't lost a road Big Ten game since 2012. What's the secret, and how much does that speak to your overall success in this program?
Well, I think we're 17-3 right now since 2010 on the road. But who's counting? Okay. But I just think it's, we try and change things up. We try and stay fresh, and we try and go together. But it's not easy going on the road. There's no question about that. We've had tough games, very difficult games. But our senior class has always led, and we bring our emotion with us, and we have to feed off ourselves. We don't have a crowd there and that type of thing, so we have to feed off each other, and we've just tried to maintain. So I don't really have an answer for you as to why, but I would say players make plays, and we've made plays on the road, and we've made plays at home, but we just keep on grinding.
Coach, seeing the Rutgers quarterback's completion percentage, can you talk about their offensive personality going into this game, what they're doing well?
Yeah, I think Laviano is completing 73% of his passes. He's a guy that's going to run out of the pocket when pressed, and he'll get on the edge. He'll play action and move them. They had a big target in number 13, whose name I can't pronounce totally. I won't try. But, he's 6'6", 220. They'll throw the ball up to him. They've got, I think, tailback situation that is very solid. They're going to do a nice job up front with the offensive line and putting you in situations on the perimeter to force you to tackle. And I think they're a well-coached football team, and they do what they do, and they'll have a great plan for us. I will go back and say special teams is key, very key in this game. So we need to play well there.